So if the federal government passed some sort of a law under a pandemic situation where vaccines were mandated, do you believe that the state of Maine has a right to say
Yes.
no to that?
Yes.
Excellent.
And I think individuals have a right to say no to that. What happens to them when they do say no to that, I don't know, but I certainly think the state has the right.
Have you gotten your H1N1 vaccine?
No, and I had no intention, and I've never gotten a flu vaccine. I'm lucky, I'm healthy, and maybe if I had medical weaknesses, I would have. I don't know anyone who had H1N1. Do you?
No.
Yeah.
In fact, what I've recently read as far as deaths,
died.
the number of people that have actually died from H1N1 is about 1/3 of the number of people that have died from the regular flu. So
Yeah.
to me, it's a total scam for the benefit of the pharmaceutical companies.
Yes, yes.
Plain and simple. Horrifies me that the media and members of our government here in Maine would buy into that and sell that to a somewhat unknowing public
Yeah.
who wouldn't know any better if they only listened to the mainstream media and our government officials. You know, they should be getting better information.
We feel, the government feels the need to scare people. You know, no one was going to get this stupid vaccination if they weren't terrified that some pandemic was going to come. And that's what they need to do to sell this stuff. You know, the whole, I see food safety, you know, is an issue that's somewhat related to this. We had that bad meat, okay? We had the bad spinach, maybe we had bad tomatoes, I can't remember, but there was some bad stuff out there. But the fact of the matter, the response should not be, okay, we're going to make small growers and people who sell at farmers markets do all these incredibly expensive regulatory processes, when in fact they're not responsible for the bad food. Because when you buy at your farmer's market, you know where your food is coming from. And if you get sick, you know where that person lives.
Right.
So that's not the issue. The issue here is put these small farmers, put these small dairy people, put these small livestock producers out of business. And only agribusiness can afford this regulatory scheme.
So I like to eat locally grown, clean food. I like to use natural medicines. As governor, what would you do to make it more profitable and easier for someone to produce locally grown, clean food for me?
Well, in something I wrote on fisheries the other day, for example, it's if we create more opportunities for local processing of food and of dairy and of fish, particularly shellfish, we will make it less costly for farmers and other producers they will have to produce less to make a living wage for themselves. So cutting out the transportation, for example, if you want to sell meat that you produce in Maine at Hannaford or Shaw's, not to a restaurant or a customer, you need to have it slaughtered at a certified slaughterhouse, and the closest one is Pennsylvania. So I have some clients who are farmers who produce lamb, and they don't sell to the big markets because they'd have to ship their lamb down to Pennsylvania and then bring it back to be sold locally. The same with shellfish processing. Most of this goes to either Canada or south of us to be processed, which is absurd given that, you know, the role shellfish and other fish plays in the state. So cutting out the transportation costs of processing and having processing done locally, providing financial support, loans and grants and so on for cooperatives to form that are truly cooperatives, not fronts for big dairy companies like Hood, and supporting people in terms of, years ago I was involved with MALT, which was the Marin Agricultural Land Trust, which was the first agricultural land trust in the country. The idea being the farmers gave conservation easements on their land, which would prevent it from being developed and turned into subdivision, but they stayed there forever, essentially, still farming it, but got the financial benefits of having the conservation easement on it, so it made it a lot easier for them to switch to organic and to continue being producers. So I think there are many things that we can do to grow these businesses. They'll provide local jobs, and they'll provide good food.
Back to the natural medicine. I believe in natural cures, natural medicines. I haven't been sick in a very, very long time, taking the approach that I'm mindful about what I put into my body. And do you think that I should be mandated to buy into the pharmaceutical-friendly private insurance industry by mandating that I buy health insurance?
No. I will be a conscientious objector if I am forced to buy health insurance from a private
You might be
company.
in a cell beside me.
I know. It's absurd that some people use the analogy, well, we make people buy car insurance. Well, owning and driving a car is not a right, it's a privilege, and one can choose to not have a car.
To me, the health care plan that is in Washington right now is a total scam and a bailout of the insurance companies.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else. It amazes me that people aren't calling out Senator Snow a little more. She supported a mandated health insurance option,
Mm-hmm.
and she's very well supported by the health insurance industry, and I don't see very many people connecting that dot for one reason or another, so I like to throw it out there when I can.
The vocal people in the healthcare debate in this state, in many respects, were those of us who were actively campaigning for a single-payer plan. And we gave up. I'm not going to say we gave up. You never, of course, give up. Change takes a lifetime. But when it became apparent that that was not going to happen, that not even a public option was going to happen, a lot of people pulled back because they're active. They're involved in so many issues, and there's never really been, I don't think, a concerted effort to address specific aspects of the plan that we might get.
A single-payer system, the issue I would have with it, again, it's going to require my funding, my tax dollars, and it's something that I wouldn't want to buy into. So how do you rectify that? Isn't that another way of making me buy into the health insurance industry, the traditional?
Well, with single payer, and I've seen all sorts of numbers run, but there's some persuasive evidence that that the system will save money for the taxpayers rather than increase money for the taxpayers. There's a huge amount increased taxation for the taxpayers. There's a huge overhead in the utilization of private insurance. Some people say the overhead is on average 30 to 32%. The overhead of Medicare and MaineCare is 4.5%. Because you don't have, like, the CEO of WellPoint, which owns Anthem, making $11 million a year or more. You just don't have it in government. And so you have a system that if you cut out that overhead and the mandated profit for shareholders, there's some numbers run, a lot of them, that suggest that the American taxpayers would actually save money with a single-payer system.
And I've seen those arguments, and it does sound good, but I guess my mistrust of the government actually running it correctly would lead me to believe that there's no way that would actually happen.
You may be right.
If the federal government were to put out a ban on citizens owning a gun, law-abiding citizens, is that something that you would nullify at the state level?
I think Maine's gun laws are working fine. I don't see any problem with them whatsoever. I think there would be a lot of angst among elected officials in the state, myself included, if the feds did that.
So if you like what she has to say and her ideas about freedom, then vote green, and you'd be voting for Maine's first female governor, which would be quite an amazing thing.
And the first statewide green elected official in the country.
Excellent. And in the Lynne Williams Blaine House, we'd have free speech. Whole state might be a free speech zone. Jury nullification, the idea of people's veto over unwanted laws, you would support.
Yes.
State nullification.
Yes.
This has been Maine Freedom Watchdogs. Thank you for watching.
And let's keep each other free.